I answered your call.
Welcome to San Diego Comic-Con 2024. I'm here with the cast and the creators of My Adventures as Superman, the best iteration of Superman we've seen in such a long time. It is absolutely amazing. And we got Supergirl this season, guys. Woo! Amazing, Kiana. But first of all, I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves to our audience here at Screen Rant. We'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Josie Campbell. I'm the writer and co-producer of My Adventures with Superman.
Woo! Hey, I'm Kiana Madeira, and I voice Kara/Supergirl.
Hi, I'm Alice Lee, and I voice Lois Lane.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ishmel Sahid. I voice Jimmy Olsen.
I'm Jake Wyatt. I don't voice anyone. I'm half the executive producer on Superman.
And I'm Brendan Clogher, the other half.
Incredible. Now, I want to kick this off talking about Supergirl because she's brand new to the show. This is a very different version of Kara that we haven't seen before. What did you take for? How were you inspired by this darker version of Kara?
Honestly, I feel like I mentioned this earlier. When I first read for Kara, I was on vacation. I was traveling. I was in Barcelona, and I set up my phone in the laundry room, and I just kind of did it. And I feel like it's a testament to the writing and the creation because her emotion and her angst and kind of that, like, you know, like you're saying, intensity is in the writing.
Sure.
And I resonated with that immediately. So that was kind of my initial take on her. And so when I got a call back, I was like, okay, cool. I feel like, you know, this is moving in the right direction. And then really working with the creative team on the callback and then getting into the booth to record, we just went further in that direction. So as much as it was me being inspired by the writing, it was also just kind of like creative instinct. And it's been really fun to dive into like her whole emotional arc because it's a lot, and I'm really, really grateful to be the one to voice her and bring her to life.
Incredible. Josie, after season 1 ended, when did you know that this was going to be the take of Supergirl that we were going to get in the show?
So we actually had planned out a lot of season 1, and then season 2 was, and Supergirl is here, question mark. And so when we started writing season 2, like we knew that we were doing this sort of darker take on her. We knew that she'd be a little bit more isolated. And then, yeah, all of us, the writers, we sort of got together and sort of like banging out ideas, and it turned into this like very like poignant story about like somebody who's been isolated but still is trying to make the right decision and like has had maybe the worst father of all the fathers we've seen on the show, but like she's still fighting for figuring out what she wants and then fighting to get that.
I feel like this show is a great precursor before we get the Superman film by James Gunn. But we also know that there's going to be a different take on Kara coming up in James Gunn's universe. Brendan, question for you is, we know that we're going to explore a darker Supergirl there. What is the heart of Supergirl, even though it can be a darker tone of that character?
That's a great question. I mean, whenever I think we start talking about these stories and these characters, it really comes down to like, what is the idea we want to communicate to the audience? And for me, Kara's story is really about someone who's sort of grown in this environment that is all about power and control. And she's sort of like a child of that, the empire in our show. And is learning compassion through her relationships with Clark and Jimmy and Lois that sort of brings her back her humanity and sort of shows a way for someone who is raised in that environment to regain their own humanity as well. Now,
Jake, I want to talk about the struggles of the relationship between Clark and Lois this season because they struggle with fears and abandonment. Why did you guys want that to be kind of like the driving force of this season?
A couple reasons. So we have an excellent Lois Lane.
Yeah, we do.
Played by Alice.
We do.
Yeah. And Alice's Lois from the beginning of season 1 was always like, had this shoot first instinct, was afraid of being lied to, was afraid of being made a fool of, was afraid of being abandoned,
sure,
as we saw in season 2. And honestly, we started Clark, as much as we love him, the shadow of hope is fear. Right? So Superman's greatest power is hope, but fear is the shadow that it casts. And the reason he hadn't become Superman at the beginning of season 1 is he was afraid of himself. He was afraid of those powers. He was afraid of this history that he didn't understand. And we wanted them both to work through that. And we're like, okay, well, in an environment where you're both still a little bit dominated by fear, the second that there's a little bit of distrust or a little bit of friction, someone shoots first. And obviously it's Lois. It was Alice. Alice shot first.
Yes.
But we wanted to give them, not just to torment them with it, but give them a chance to choose each other and to choose hope and to overcome it with each other. And that was really important to us.
Absolutely. Alice, you are an incredible Lois. I love your take on Lois Lane. She both thrives as a journalist and a hero in her own right. How does Lois find her strength in this season, especially with her relationship issues that she does struggle with Clark?
Yeah, I think Lois, what's so cool about season 2 and her arc is, she starts to get insecure. Like, she's usually a very confident, very outspoken young lady, but then with Clark, suddenly she feels like she's not enough. And it's something that, it's very relatable. Even the strongest of us will get insecure. But choosing to still choose, choosing love in the end. And one of my favorite lines, someone else asked me this too, is love is not for cowards, that Lois says. Woo! And I'm like, like the fact that she is like, you know what? No, I still want to be with you. And I will choose you again and again, and I will fight for you. I think it just makes their relationship even stronger and her even stronger. Because, it's a vulnerable choice. Right. You're putting your heart out there, So, I just love that we see their bond get even deeper.
Now, Ishmel, I think that your take on Jimmy is the best I think I've ever seen. It's absolutely phenomenal. How does Jimmy find his place as a leader of these new crop of reporters at the Daily Planet?
That's a good question. I feel like Jimmy's still trying to find his footing, like in life in general, in relationships. But I think that he kind of moved. He has a lot of empathy for people. He's somebody who puts literally everybody before him, and I think because he kind of moves that way, people flock to him, and he's very self-serving, and even with that, he can kind of get lost in the sauce, and just like with Clark and Superman, like doubt himself, his ability to lead, especially the new crew at the news station, but. Yeah, I mean, just with anybody else in life, it's trial and error, and luckily he has a group of friends that can like help him through his journey in that. So, can
you also talk about Jimmy's connection to Kara this season and how he's feeling about if he's impacted by her lineage at all?
He's not impacted. Well, he is and he isn't. I think Kara is like a breath of fresh air, something that he's never experienced, and even something that, because he's so into just like aliens and like the extraterrestrial and things like that, so it's like when something like that hits him in the face, he doesn't really know how to handle his emotions. He knows he sees something that's special, but he doesn't know how to kind of convey it, and when he does, it's like it's a new feeling. I don't think Jimmy has ever been in love or cared about somebody so deeply, because like when you watch the episode, it's like he's willing to risk it all. He literally spends all of his millions to kind of save his friends and help Kara and convince everybody that she is a good person. Like, he can see through people, you know what I mean? I think that's part of his strength. Like, he knows, he sees the good in people, and he will do anything to kind of show people that, especially people who doubt that about people. So. Now,
Jake, this show kind of it definitely explores the early days of Clark Kent's time as Superman. What for you is the heart of getting not just a younger Superman right, but also Clark Kent, which I think it has to be the heart of the show?
It's funny because we gave Clark and Kara kind of these opposite origin stories, where Kara is raised by the worst man in the universe. And I think getting Clark right is understanding that he wants to extend to everybody else the unconditional love that has been given to him, right? When Clark realizes as a child, like, oh man, Ma and Pa aren't my biological parents, like there's some struggle with that, but I think also and they love me, right? And like, this is how you treat strangers.
Absolutely.
So he has this hospitable, generous soul. And even before he's Superman, I think it's there, and I think you can see it. And so I think that's the number one thing, is that Clark Kent always wants to help. Superman is not a cop. He's not here to punish people. He is a firefighter. He's here to help people. He's here to rescue people. And so yeah, that's what I love about him.
I mean, this is everything I've loved about the character growing up, and now I get to see it again, and like it's like reliving my childhood. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. I love this show. I can't wait for season 3 and beyond now. But thank you guys so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're incredible. Thank you.
Cyan, Kara, new parameters. Bring Kal-El to me.